Welcome to Investing Insights, partnered by Right Property Group. This is your host, Phil Tarrant.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Investing Insights Education Series, Smart Property Investment, in partnership with our good friends at the Right Property Group. Today, something that I really enjoy, a topic. I do it every day in my job, but it's something I think I've always done organically. And we're going to talk about negotiation. Two guys in the studio, regular co-hosts on the show, Victor Kumar, Steve Waters. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. You reckon you're pretty good at this negotiation lark, don't you, Steve?
I kind of like to think so, yeah. That's what I do for a living.
Who's better out of you two? Who's a better negotiator?
Oh, hands down to him. Yeah. No, just that threw you, see? It started already. Negotiation is all about positioning.
It is. So let's stick on that. So everyone probably negotiates differently, right? Do you guys have different styles in negotiation?
Massively different styles, yeah.
And it's really important because if you try and imitate someone else, it's not natural, and people see it a mile away. So it has to sit well with you.
It's got to be organic.
Yeah,
it's got to be you.
Yeah.
It's got to be, it has to be your personality. Like, you can't be a personality you're not. And as Vic said, look, agents, and people that remember this, sales agents, real estate agents, and of which you get in here a lot to do other podcasts, your top 100s, these guys spend tens of thousands of dollars every year in training to be a sales agent. And they do it every day. So to be something that you're not and try and change your personality when you're negotiating against someone who's a trained professional, they're trained to see it, and they'll just exploit you.
It's good. So for if you're new to this podcast, it's something we do every single month. This is now the sixth one that we've done, been very popular. But this is probably the topic that I really want to get into because I think it's it's good action, good activity. But some of the other stuff we've covered, and you'll see them if you look down on this page, or if you're in iTunes on the feed. The first topic we did was 11 things successful properties don't do. Check that one out. The second one was debunking the most popular property myths. The third one was around goal setting and sort of shifting your mindset. Then we looked in the one after that, investing in units versus houses. And the last one we did, which was quite interesting, which got a bit deep towards the end of it, and that was Steve's fault. He took it there. It was around building a yoga part, right? Building a balanced portfolio. So negotiation. So anyone who is a property investor, and you guys are buyers agents, so a big part of what you do is negotiating amongst other stuff. But anyone who's investing in property will, at a point in time, negotiate. So you both mentioned that you guys do it differently. If you're going to explain your style in negotiation, Victor, what is it like?
Yeah, so the first thing to remember when you're negotiating, that's for anyone, is there are no winners and losers. I mean, negotiations either break down where you're not coming to an agreement, or it is successful where you come to an agreement. And how you approach it, and my way of approaching it is more of what I would call having fun with it, pretty much calling a spade, but it's not going in there trying to ground the other person into the dirt, so to speak. So it has to be done professionally in the sense that with respect, so that it doesn't come back to bite you. So as an example, if you're negotiating on a property with a vendor, and they have asked for a concession, and you don't give that concession, if it doesn't make any difference to you, it may come back to bite you, say, at settlement. So I had a friend of mine who wouldn't allow the vendor a couple of days extra in terms of settlement. And come settlement day, settlement got delayed, and my friend had his trucks all parked, ready to go in, but the vendor would not allow him in until the confirmation of settlement came in. And these trucks sat there from 9 o'clock till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon before you allowed them in. So it does come and bite you if you get it wrong.
It's probably quite hard to say, this is the way I negotiate, but you could probably get observations on Steve's negotiation style.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Why didn't I get asked that question?
Well, you are.
Him,
Don't
right?
worry, I'm going to go that way. So if I said, explain how Steve negotiates.
Well, Steve, good question.
I'm looking at you.
Right?
I'm looking at you.
Because I'll be giving all his secrets away.
Yeah, I know,
right? And if you look at how Steve negotiates, he looks at making it a congenial thing. So it's not aggressive in the sense that you're going to do it my way or else. It's always trying to find a common ground, and it pretty much is one of the hallmarks of successful negotiation is trying to find the common ground and going down that path of, in inverted commas, exploiting that. And Steve, while he does not exploit people, does exploit the situation really well.
I'm looking at you.
You're going to get your chance, Steve.
I'm going to self-pay for this.
So would you? So Steve's got a good eye for the deal. Like you
Absolutely.
can sniff it out pretty quickly and
that's
know
right.
where it is.
And it's knowing what you want out of that equation, right? So it's not about, it may be terms, it may be price, it may be that we're solving the issue for the vendor, or it's something that the purchaser wants. But it all boils down to knowing what you want at the end of it. So if you've got an end point to it, you'll get to it eventually.
Okay.
Come on, ask.
Yeah.
What's Vic's style?
What's Vic's style? He'll rock up and he'll have his fancy suit on and he's.
I don't.
It's a white suit and he looks like Colonel Sanders.
And I give fried chickens with it.
You said that, not me. Vic's style is more of a relaxed style. He's a relaxed negotiator, and that's being, like, all jokes aside, that's his style. So he's about creating the relationship, which is one of the keys, and all good negotiators, it should be about creating that relationship with whoever you're negotiating with as quick as you can. And Vic's not, this is more what he's not, I suppose, more than what he is. He's not a rushed negotiator where it's like, let's get the deal done, let's get it done right now. It's about, but yet it's not slow and steady either. And see, it's an interesting thing because back to me.
It's all about you, Steve.
Yeah, it's all about me. How I first started negotiating, say many years ago, and it's kind of a hereditary thing for me, I suppose. In my past industry is far different from how I negotiate today, because you do learn as you go. And Vic mentioned something earlier on about it's not about who wins and who loses a negotiation, but by the same time, it's not this. And you'll read this in a million books. It's not about a win-win situation either, because someone either always wants to pay less.
Someone concedes.
Yeah, someone does concede somewhere, but it's about keeping that relationship alive when you do it. Because for us, we're always going for the most through that third party being the agent. We don't really have the direct contact with the vendor or the seller. Well, in some instances we may, but most of the time it's through an agent. So for us, that agent, it's not just about the one property. It's about, well, how many more can we negotiate for him in different areas? So if we burn a relationship, if we don't keep that relationship alive, and especially in today's market, we're not going to get the phone call before everybody else the next time, which is kind of another point. Coming back to how I negotiate, it's also state-based or market-driven. So if I go over to WA tomorrow, where there's a little bit of blood on the streets and probably more to come, how I negotiate over there is going to be far different in terms of my style than how I negotiate here in New South Wales or Brisbane or Victoria at the moment, because the market is, to a degree, dictating how I negotiate.
That's right.
Agents don't really need people like us at the moment. There's 1 million buyers here over on the East Coast, so they can play the game, so to speak. Over on the West Coast, they're going to love people like us, because we represent an opportunity for them to be able to sell stock when perhaps the general public aren't there in masses. So we could probably afford to be a little bit more aggressive over there and
bolshy.
And stand firm on our terms and conditions and price, whereas over here we need to be a little bit more flexible, and it becomes not just about price, but as Vic said, about terms, conditions such as settlement periods, cooling off periods, all that sort of stuff, early access.
And it also comes back to when you're talking about agents and negotiating on properties, is that a lot of these agents, you need to be first of all recognizing how they are negotiating against you, whether they are using your own tactics against you or using your own naivety, if I can pronounce that word, against you if you're just starting out to invest. So you need to be really mindful that they are the people that you simply can't negotiate against, because they'll stonewall you from day one, right? And there are You will come across them in all walks of life. And a lot of people say that I can't negotiate in real estate and I can't negotiate, but we negotiate on a daily basis. I mean, if you've got kids, you're negotiating on a daily basis. If you're married in a relationship, you're negotiating on a daily basis because we're doing that on a different level. We're not putting such credence on it. But if we brought the same principles into real estate investing, that would help. If you're talking about kids, there's the pester power. And pester power, if you brought it back to real estate, it's constantly asking the agents the same questions in terms of the property. It may not be the same property in that sense. And that's one of the reasons why we get so many of our negotiations over the line, is that we're touching base with them on a constant basis and not waiting for them to come back to us with a counter offer as such. We constantly remind them that we're still here, we're still at this price, we're still at those terms, depending on how the property is panning out.
So if negotiating doesn't come naturally, and I think for all of us here, it's quite a natural thing. We live and breathe it. We do it. We don't even know we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I'm chatting to you, I'm negotiating.
You're
right?
hustling me all the time, right?
But if it doesn't come natural, and a lot of people don't like negotiating, they find it confrontational, and they don't like confrontation, or negotiating. If you're a buyer, you're trying to get something for as cheap as possible. Some people just don't like asking for a discount. My wife Victoria, when I met her, she's get embarrassed by me.
She'd walk out of the shop. When
I'd be haggling and negotiating. And for me, negotiating, if someone said to me, what's my negotiating style? So I like to put a lot of theatre into negotiation, right? I like a lot of laughter, a lot of innuendo,
That's
a lot
exactly
of jest.
right,
Like, it's good fun. Like the person selling and the person buying have a bit of kick out of it. And I've found over time that I get the best results if someone likes talking and dealing with me, right? It might frustrate me.
Yeah, you're not making it a fight.
But it's not a fight. It's just good, robust fun. And a lot of people, that doesn't come natural, and they're scared to ask for a discount. I don't want to ask for a discount because they might think X, Y, Z of me. So if that's not a natural thing, how can you work on that? How do you do? Is it just practice and experience?
Look, some people just will never be able to negotiate, and it's just not in their inner core, I suppose. But having said that, there are some people that are born to negotiate, and it might be something from as simple as where they've come from. So, as an example, when we go out to negotiate with an agent, and in different areas, so different, let's take, say, Cabramatta of Sydney, or if we take an inner suburb of Brisbane, often the demographic is quite different. So usually in those demographics, the agents are also quite different. And I'm certainly not, going down a path where people might think I'm going, but depending on the agent's origin, perhaps hereditary, if you will be very will determine how we negotiate.
So the negotiation style, is what you're saying, is often shaped by their cultural experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so important because it's going to dictate how you negotiate. So if I was to take, the Asian culture, they're a much more aggressive negotiator. Yeah. If I go to the Indian culture, and I'm looking at Vic here, the deal is never done when you're negotiating with those types of agents. Just when you think it's across the line, it's just not.
Just
another thing comes in.
It's just starting. Yeah.
And that is the heritage, right? So
that is the heritage.
If I look at my background, I'm from Indian background, from Fiji, but originally my grandparents from India. That's part of our culture, and that's part of how we negotiate. Is that, if we haven't had a discount, then we don't feel like we've had a deal. And it is important as that, and it becomes part of the culture.
Well, it does. We'll see. But, and that's funny because if we're dealing with, say, a UK-based agent, as an example, they're much more relaxed and more of a jovial, sarcastic type of negotiation where you're giving each other crap. Yeah. And so Australian agents, well, it's just whatever happens at the time. And although it may sound like I'm joking, it's such an important part of negotiation is to know who you're negotiating against and what is there going to be their style. And it could be something as simple as you're going to auction, which is a style of negotiation. So for us, if we're going to an auction, our prep work, our recon, if you will, starts weeks beforehand. Not on the property, because that's what we already know about, that's why we're going to auction, but it's on the auctioneer and the agents within who are going to be walking the auction. If we don't know the auctioneer, we'll go to 4 or 5 of his auctions well beforehand so we get to know his style. just his little tells, his little signals. We'll get to know who the agent is. We'll get to talk to them, create a relationship. It's that serious. It's a big ticket item. We're not buying a laptop here, so you've got to get it right.
And is it always seeking some sort of advantage through increased information to help?
It's knowledge.
The base
of outcome.
The most powerful negotiator is the one with all the knowledge, who knows the most. And Vic touched on it before. You can't go into a negotiation bluffing knowledge, because the guy or the girl on the other end of the table who's negotiating against you, especially the sales agent, he's going to have that knowledge. So you need to be equal or better, and you can't lie, because at the end of the day, and even though I've said it before, it's all about the relationship. You got to remember that agents make their money when a deal is closed, when the property settles. So if you're going to waste their time, you're only going to get one bite at a cherry in a market like this. They won't call you again. So you need to be honest. You need to be...
Because you're hard work.
Yeah. And exactly, you are hard work. So we'll go to an agent, we'll say, look, our offers aren't sexy, and sometimes they're low ball, but we complete, and we complete quickly, because if that's ringing true in their ears, well, these guys complete, they're not going to give me a hard time, and they get paid when you get completed.
So what we're talking about here is that what gives you an advantage in a negotiation. So negotiation typically starts at price.
Yeah.
And then once you sort of get to a position where you might be close on price, you can start negotiating on other things. You spoke about terms and stuff like this. But to reference the point you just made, Steve, that an agent wants to shift a property as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible. So if an agent gets a property, comes on for a listing, they'll try and sell it off market straight away. So they'll go to guys like you or other buyers agents, because they know that these people have ready buyers ready to go. So the negotiation will be sharp and it'll be quick. And it's not going to be, I want to buy this place, I've never bought a property before, I've got all these questions to ask you, I've nearly got my pre-approval sorted out. They know that you guys are sharp negotiators because you're going to complete on it. So you've got someone that's ready to buy a property and they're going to complete today. You're not time wasters, you're not tire kickers. So essentially you're getting yourself an advantage immediately in a negotiation setting, because they know that what you're saying is not...
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, but having said that, if you take the Sydney market now, and you'll often hear a lot of the buyers agents talk about these off-market sales or silent sales, which do exist. It's essentially they're properties that never hit the internet or realestate.com or domain. Well, as a side note, you will see them, but after the deal's secured, because they need the listings on there to make the phone ring. But in a market like Sydney City at the moment, or the eastern suburbs, there are very, very few silent sales. And it's not because the agent doesn't want to have the deal quick because they know they've got this ready pool of buyers. It's because they can't get enough listings to sell. So they need to have their signboards out there. They need to have their names out there. So the silent sale doesn't exist. Or if it does exist, it's from a seller who perhaps says, well, here's my ridiculous high price.
You find someone
for it, you got to sell. But the silent sale doesn't exist in the inner cities and the eastern suburbs and northern suburbs at the moment. You might get one every now and again, but they're not a common thread.
So to have an advantage in negotiation, you need to be able to move decisively and quickly. So the agent knows you're not messing around. You need to have cash ready to go. What else can you do to make yourself a more attractive buyer or better negotiator compared to someone else? Openness or willingness to move quickly.
Maybe the question is, what shouldn't you do?
What shouldn't you do?
Yeah. I remember years ago, I was at one of the expos that we go to, and there was a guy up on stage talking about this subject and how he secures deals and how he can make himself stand out from the crowd. So what he does is, when he goes to an open house or an auction, he'll go out and he'll hire a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something like that and put the slickest suit on he can, because he wants to be seen as the guy with all the cash and intimidate everybody else. Let me tell you, that's the worst thing you can do, because you're the biggest tool in the street, and the agents aren't going to want to deal with you. And if anything, the vendor or the seller's going to see that and say, well, you've got more money than sense. I'll keep pushing the price up. So that's what you don't want to do. You just want to be yourself, coming back to the very beginning. Be authentic, because people can see through it. Be genuine, same thing, I suppose. And sometimes we have fun with it. Like, we'll go in a pair of tracksuit pants and thongs just to mix it up a bit. Not that that's a common occurrence, just saying, but if we're challenged as a bet, we'll do it, because it's not about how you present yourself in this scenario. It's how you keep the relationship going, which is what I keep saying.
Yeah, and the key to all of this negotiation is you never take it personally. So if you didn't get the property, or if you didn't get quite the terms that you wanted, you shouldn't take it as a something that's personal. Or if the agent counters with a higher offer, that doesn't mean that you're actually in a battle. That's what negotiation is all about. The agent's supposed to get the best price possible for the vendor, and we as buyers agents or as investors, we're trying to get the best price for us. In other words, the cheapest price. And price does not necessarily mean dollar amount. It could also mean the terms. It could be a delayed settlement. It could be, an early access to work on the property to clean it up.
Let's stick on that quickly. So a lot of people probably aren't familiar with this. So you haggle on price and you get to a sticking point. We spoke about compromise before. So it's a compromise. So if you go, okay, this ain't going to happen because the price is $400,000 and that's probably what it's going to end up.
Yep.
But you can get advantages as a buyer by saying, look, I want a delayed settlement, so it gives you plenty of time to maybe sell some assets or realise some equity for someone else, so you get an advantage there. Or you can say, look, I'll settle in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, but you're going to have to take another 10 grand off the price. So you've got these hooks to be able to still manipulate the price.
Absolutely.
Or it might be deposit terms as well. Deposit bond, $1,000 deposit, 10% deposit, whatever it may be. And that this is all sort of disregarding price, because if we know what the price is, as you've just suggested, then the only thing you've got left to negotiate are the terms. Yeah, or maybe inclusions.
And you'd only be able to negotiate on those when you know the vendor's situation or where they're coming from, because most of the time the best negotiations are where you are actually solving the other side's problems and getting what you want out of it.
And that could be debt or distress, and so you got to look for those.
It's about understanding the information. If you've got the most information, you can make a better decision. But if you go to like a negotiating course, right, if you're commercial negotiation, they'd say you need to make sure, try and load up a negotiation with a whole bunch of points so you can be seen to be conceding on stuff, right? So let's say price aside, if you get into conditions. So deposit's one thing. You'd say, look, I'll give you a 5% deposit instead of a 10% deposit. Early access, delayed settlement, this type of thing. What other things can you sort of throw in there that you can walk away from? So like you can start questioning contracts and just so as a good negotiator, you can look to see that you're conceding on some things. I know you guys have done deals where you've gone, okay, well, all right, 400,000, that's fine, but you're going to have to put some new carpet in there before we move in there. Like loading up a deal so you can come back. I think
everybody wants to walk away with a feeling that they've succeeded, or in as you say, that perhaps you've given in to get what you want. It really depends on the property, where it is, and once again, the market conditions. Sometimes there's just going to be no negotiation on anything, so it's more about securing the deal, and because the market is moving quickly, and that in itself it can be a headache, especially in some markets today. So that also comes back down to the relationships. But I suppose coming back to your point, there are hooks, as you call it, where you can get the early access, but that's a buyer beware. That's not always a good thing. There is the delayed settlement deposit terms, inclusions, whether polish the floorboards, put the carpets, get rid of the above ground pool for me, or whatever it may be. But you do have to concede in some areas, depending on the market. And then once again, if I compare it to Perth, well, you should be conceding on nothing because you can.
And one of the key things when you're negotiating is not to take your eye off the price. So the price is to actually get the property at a price that's within your range. And just because you had to concede on, say, a settlement term or deposit term or something like that, doesn't mean that you walk away from the deal. And I found this time and time again is that people that are starting to negotiate for themselves, they tend to lose sight of the bigger picture. And get stuck in the smaller battles.
The smaller detail. Yeah. And I think just be prepared to, in some cases, open extreme, as we call it, and that might be lowballing if the market lets you do that. But you've got to have your walk-away price. There's got to be that level where you say, well, okay, that's it, and be prepared to walk away.
And you don't lose face when you walk away.
Yeah, and you don't. You're actually strengthening your relationship if that be the case, because for your next lot of negotiations, if you're dealing with the same agent, well, he's getting to know you and he's getting to know your style, perhaps, and that you are serious. And the other thing that I'd probably suggest is be confident. Like, you can't go in there starting negotiation, trembling, sweating up, bluffing your way, because they will see it a mile away. So if you've got to practice with your friends and what have you beforehand, do that. There's no shame in that.
Yeah.
And just, once again, be confident.
It's all about confidence, and confidence only comes through experience. You could just do it.
Just do it.
How many, like, you probably got to say it depends on the market and stuff, but like, you guys are throwing out deals all the time, right? You're throwing a low ball and stuff all over the joint, hoping, using a fishing analogy, you throw out a big bait and you never know, you might
get jagged something.
Might jag something big. You guys are investing a lot of time in putting out deals and offers and negotiating. Like, what sort of hit rate are you getting? Is it depends on the market, but is it low, high? You know, in terms of
that's a hard question.
It depends.
It depends. Yeah,
yeah, because we have our own KPIs, because the more offers you throw out, the better chance that you've got. Yeah. So we like to have somewhere between 250 to 300 offers out every week.
Okay.
Now that's a lot of offers to manage, and that's the word here, manage, because those offers might take a month to come in. They might take 30 seconds to be accepted. So there might be spinning in the wheel of the offering world, 400, 500 offers out there. And there's been instances where it's taken us a year to negotiate something. But that's still in there. So it's too hard to answer, what's our strike rate? It might be 1% this week, and it might be 10 next week.
I guess what I'm getting at is that you're actively out there doing. If you're serious about investing, you got to be out there knowing your markets and putting offers out there and the preparation for negotiating.
You've got to be active all the time. So like, take us out of it and say, let's say you're going out to negotiate a property and you want one of. So it's time to add something to your portfolio. There's only so much ground you can cover. There's only so many agents you can talk to, and it's going to take quite some time to, I suppose, get your knowledge up for the area, because you've been out of the market. Now you've got to research it and talk to the right agents, as an example. So that's going to take a period of time. But if you're not active in doing that, well, your chances are diminishing all the time. So I suppose the key takeaway is be active all the time, because the best opportunities present themselves quickly, but they go even quicker.
Practice makes perfect as well.
It does.
Absolutely.
Get out there. It's good. Lots of info. I want to go out and buy some stuff now.
I know. Trying to negotiate.
I know a good buyer's agent.
Yeah, I think some really real key points there. One is that, if you're not confident negotiating, you need to get confident and bluff it out if you have to. Just don't show your hand. Get in there and get involved. Simple stuff. It's not always about price, it's about conditions as well. So make sure that you're armed with a number of different hooks, a number of different ways in which that you can look to maximise and make the negotiating process a good one for everyone. Victor, how would you summarise negotiating for you, going back to what we originally spoke about? Guy who does it for a living. One sentence.
Have fun with it. Have fun with it, and don't take it personally.
Steve, anything to sum up with negotiating?
If you don't ask, you don't get.
It's good. That's key. Good. Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed the chat. Remember to get in touch if you've got any questions about this podcast, about the Right Property Group or what the guys do. If you want us to cover anything in particular on this podcast, investing insights, email questions at rightpropertygroup.com.au. Victor will pick them up and get in touch with you. You're happy to field anything if it's just any questions about whatever. You can check out the guys also, rightpropertygroup.com.au. And we spoke about it last time. You guys are doing seminars every month. Well, not necessarily seminars, they're sort of open forums, aren't they?
It's an open forum.
It's like a networking type thing with other investors. That's,
well, it is. It's a safe place, as we call it. So we don't allow developers to come in and start flogging their stuff or anything like that, or Amway, as we call it.
There's no Amway.
No Amway this year. It's just an open forum where we have different topics and different guest speakers, and it's very, I suppose, informal is a way. Throw your questions out as you think of them rather than waiting till the end. That's the way we like to do it.
Yeah.
It goes for a couple of hours at Parramatta and in Sydney. I think it's the first Monday or Tuesday of the month.
Yep, and also in St Kilda and Melbourne.
In St Kilda and Melbourne once a month, last Thursday I think it is of the month or something like that. Yep.
Okay, good. Oh, I've been to one before, two before, maybe a few more. Yeah, they're good fun. It's nice to knock around with other investors, and I guess the breadth of people you get to these is quite, from people who are just starting out, and you be chatting to a bloke who's got 50 properties. Well, you'd never know.
We always learn something. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks, guys. Remember to come and check us out again. We'll be back next month. If you want to listen to any of the other episodes of the Investing Insights podcasts with our partners at Right Property Group, you'll see them at the bottom of this feed on the website if you're looking to it, or check out the feed on iTunes as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next month. Bye.